Hill right now only half full. The House went on recess early to avoid the Epstein files, but the Senate's still in town, still putting in work, and that is putting the controversy over the Jeffrey Epstein files squarely in the spotlight.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and other Democrats are now turning to an obscure 1928 law to get those files released. It's called the Rule of Five. Here's Schumer explaining it.
Under federal law, when any 5 senators on the Homeland Security Committee call on the executive branch must comply. Our request covers all documents, files, evidence, and other materials in possession of the DOJ, the FBI, related to the case of United States versus Jeffrey Epstein.
They gave the Department of Justice until August 15th to hand over the relevant documents. The Hill's Drew Petrimo joins us now for this. Drew, big story.
Yeah, I think it's clear that Democrats want to keep this on the front burner, and this is another way that they can do this. This is kind of an untested proposition. Whether or not this will hold up in the courts, I think, remains to be answered. I don't think the Justice Department is just going to all of a sudden cry uncle and hand all over the documents to the Democrats, but I think the Democrats, view this as a fight that they want to have. If they are getting headlines, Democrats in court seeking the release of Epstein documents, I think that they think that's a good place for them to be.
It's an arcane law, but Republicans have tried to use it before, going back to the Biden administration, to get some documents about the COVID pandemic. Unsuccessful there. They were stonewalled, ultimately didn't turn to the courts to get it done. But ultimately, what does this mean for the Senate recess? Because we heard last week part of the reason why they did not want to stick in town was because they knew they were going to get asked about the Epstein files, and lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah, I think the major question is how do Democrats want to play this? Do they want to allow bipartisan bills and non-controversial nominees to go forward, or do they want to show their voters that they are willing to go scorched earth and fight on every plane? This is a case where there are some appropriation bills and some nominees, most of them non-controversial, that Democrats could allow to pass and everyone goes home for recess. But they want to show their voters that they're fighting fire with fire. So are they going to resist, force the full process to play out on all these nominees? Republicans are threatening to circumvent them and kind of upend Senate rules to get these nominees forward. And I think there's just major questions about how this is going to play out, as lawmakers do have this motivation to try to get out of town for the August recess.
One senator has been very outspoken on this. It's Josh Hawley. And of course, he wants transparency, and he talked about it.
I just point out that my Democrat colleagues, who I'm sure have purest of motives, did not ask any Republican. They didn't ask me. Maybe they asked another Republican, but I don't think so. They didn't ask any of us if we were interested in signing on. But so I think that seems a little bit like a stunt to me, to be honest with you. But on the merits of it, on the substance, I think the Epstein stuff ought to be released, just like they did MLK.
Actually, I was talking about Epstein. Of course, he was very supportive of Epstein, but that was not what he was talking about. He was talking about confirmations. And Jeanine Pirro is one of the person who's up for confirmation for U.S. Attorney here in Washington, something Democrats aren't happy about.
Yeah, and she actually did pass out of committee, so she's just up for a vote of the full Senate. Unclear if that's going to happen before the August recess, but it's interesting. Home state senators have the ability to block these type of nominees for their home states. It's something that's been argued about. Not some Republicans, including the president, are urging the Senate to circumvent that rule right now, but because D.C. doesn't have a voting senator, there is no senator that could potentially block this nomination. So it'll be interesting to see whether she passes a full Senate vote, but I think getting out of committee was a big hurdle that indicates that she's probably likely to be confirmed.
Yeah, we'll have to see where all this goes. And of course, the clock is ticking on the Senate to ultimately get out of town. They've got jobs to do back in their home district. So we'll see if they actually catch their flights or their buses or their trains, however they get home.
Getting out of town is always a huge motivator here in Washington. It kind of greases the gears a lot of times. We'll see if it happens this time.
All right, Drew. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the 8 o'clock hour.